Hello everyone, and welcome to the third video in our continuing series looking at the Witchwood cards that have been revealed so far and just giving our first impressions on the cards. So without any further ado, let's get on to the first card, Pandemonium. The first card we're going to be talking about is Muck Hunter. So Muck Hunter is a 5-mana 5/8 epic minion. It has Rush and Battle Cry. Summon 2/1 Mucklings for your opponent. So it's a little reminiscent of a Leroy Jenkins style thing, giving your opponent 2 weak minions and you yourself getting one that has initiative in the form of Rush this time compared to Charge, and because of that it has a lot more health than something like Leroy, which is a 6/2. You know, it's a 5/8. Do you think it's worth it? I mean, 5-mana 5/8 obviously kind of over or undercosted, but is 2/2/1s a little bit too much to give your opponent?
So the thing is, with these, whenever there's sort of a negative battle cry, what you've always got to kind of try and remember to do, what people try to do is to find ways of negating it. So obviously the first thing that comes to mind is if you're a mage or let's say a druid, you know, you can hero power one of the
Mucklings.
Hero power one of the guys down, right? So that's kind of the first thing. You know, you immediately go, okay, you never really want to be using this guy to kill the 2/2/1s because otherwise it's not really that worthwhile, right? Because if you minus 4/2 stats from it, if you minus 6 stats from it, it's basically a 5-mana 5/2. I mean, some distribution.
If Muck Hunter just hits one of the Mucklings, right? Then you are getting a 5-mana 5/6, and that's not particularly great. And then you've actually given your opponent a 2/1, and that 2/1 has initiative in the sense that your Muck Hunter just killed the other 2/1. So you don't really want to be tying your Muck Hunter up killing a Muckling. You definitely want to find a better target for it in the turn that it comes down.
Yeah, that's the main thing, right? So I mean, if you can combo it with whirlwind effects, so the new card Echo comes to mind. I mean, we're not that. What's it? Not what's it? Warpath.
Yeah.
Blood Razor.
Yeah.
I mean, you could find a way of putting it into a deck where you have whirlwind effects.
Yeah, and obviously Warrior is the most natural fit for that. Maybe this could find place in some kind of Tempo Warrior. We've already seen some powerful Warrior Rush cards, and you know, what's it, the 4-mana 5/5, and so this is kind of a way to keep that Rush momentum going. So maybe in something like that, or maybe in another deck where you can go wider than your opponent on the board, where you have small tokens that you can trade in. Something like a Dude Paladin, where you can trade in your dudes into the 2/1s, and then you can pick off a bigger target with Muck Hunter himself. So I think that's kind of the place we kind of see this deck. So you want to be able to deal with the Mucklings when you play it, because on the face of it, Muck Hunter is not necessarily that good. You could look at it almost like an expensive polymorph in some senses, where if it's able to kill the minion, it's leaving behind another minion. But ultimately, in this case, you're leaving behind 2, so that kind of comparison doesn't quite work. And you know, something like Doomguard's a lot better in most of the scenarios because it gives you the tempo on board. So I think you really need to find a better way to mitigate that the 2/1s and to kill them immediately and still let Muck Hunter do the work, killing something else.
Yeah. So it'd be interesting to see. I would like. This is the kind of card. I think it's got a cool design to it, so I think it could see some play.
Yeah.
But it might turn out that giving your opponent 2/2/1s might be too much of a downside.
Yeah.
So that's kind of obviously the sort of the question, right?
Yeah, and I mean, we've seen these kind of cards before that are kind of overstated for their cost, and the downside is giving your opponent minions. The big difference here is that Muck Hunter has Rush, and that's the big thing that I think gives me a little bit of hope about this compared to something like Hungry Dragon previously. And that's the really important part. I mean, Hungry Dragon also gave a random 1-drop, so you know, you could sometimes low roll and give them like a 2/3, whereas here you always know that they're going to be 2/1s, so you can more plan around that with your deck design, something like, you know, Blood Razor or Whirlwind Effects. So yeah, I think Muck Hunter could possibly have a future, but it's definitely going to depend on whether it can find the right deck. Speaking of warrior decks, we next have Redband Wasp coming up. A card that was at first named Fluffy Wasp, which didn't make any sense from some of the original translations we got from the spoilers. It is a 2-mana 1/3 beast, and it has Rush as well. And plus, it also has +3 attack while damaged, i.e. Enrage, +3 attack.
Yeah, I was about to say, this is basically Warbot, right?
Yeah.
Or similar to Warbot.
Yeah, it's a 1-mana more Warbot for Rush, right?
And more attack, because Warbot only gave +1 attack, I think.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's true.
When damaged.
Yeah. So, do you think, this is a ping for Warrior in a way, and that can be kind of powerful, and if it's pinging off something with less than 3 attack, it'll actually leave behind a minion?
I mean, 2-mana 1/3 chart, like, the thing is, for it to really be good, you really want to combo it with, what's the word? You want to buff the attack beforehand, so like
yeah.
You might want to enrage it before, because like rushing with a 1/3 not going to be great most of the times.
Yeah, and if you're doing that, right, if you're enraging Redband Wasp to trade into something, most of the time that the Redband Wasp is going to die because it's going to have 2 health, and then you may as well have just enrage executed, because that was a combo that didn't have a damage limit, whereas Redband Wasp, if you're using it with enrage, you're only dealing 6 damage. Yeah,
6. So I'm not 100% sure. Like, it's one of those weird, because the enrage needs to be damaged already.
Yeah.
And then when you rush it, like, how often are you rushing it into something and it's surviving? That's what you got to ask yourself as a 2-drop, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's for me. So I'm a bit sort of apprehensive about the card.
Yeah, it's kind of almost the exact opposite of the first warrior card we saw, where that one had more attack because it had a battle cry that gave it the attack. This one has an enrage that gives it the attack, basically, which means it has more attack after being left behind on board rather than more attack when it actually makes that very first attack. So I don't know. I think definitely it looks like they're trying to push some kind of possible tempo warrior with these kind of rush cards. The other card that we're talking about, of course, is the Militia Commander. One of the first cards from
like, that is significantly better, I think.
Yeah. So, I mean, but let's say hesitant to say Redband Wasp is going to be particularly great, but it does fulfill a kind of ping ability that Warrior doesn't really have, but there are more like whirlwind effects now coming into it, and those might be better anyway. So, yeah, we'll see if Redband Wasp is really going to be worth it. It does work with that minion that damages your minions when they come into play. I forgot the armor.
Berserker. What's the 1-mana 1/3?
Yeah, that's kind of the idea here, right?
Surprise! We play that on 1, this on 2.
And then Redband Wasp is always going to kill something on 2.
The question is then, will it survive?
Probably not, though. That's the thing, right?
You have to kill something with only 2 attack, right?
Well, 1
No,
attack.
with only 1 attack.
Yeah,
so it lives.
That seems unlikely. So I mean, Redband Wasp definitely, if you are killing 1 attack, or 2 ones, right, at most, then Redband Wasp is kind of powerful when left behind. But otherwise, it's it's going to struggle to really have much of a sting when it lands on the board. Yeah. And next, the card that is definitely not going to struggle for board impact is Lord Godfrey. Lord Godfrey is a Warlock legendary minion, 7 mana 4/4 that reads Battle Cry, deal 2 damage to all other minions. If any die, repeat this Battle Cry. So basically like a Defile effect for 2 damage instead of 1, and he doesn't hurt himself, which is important there. So, Defile on steroids on a stick is kind of, I think, how I kind of first described it.
Yeah. It seems very powerful. I mean, if you look at the stats, you're basically paying between 3 and 4 mana for the battle cry, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at a 4 mana 4/4, it is a bit meh, but I mean, you're paying then 2 damage, so this makes the file math a lot easier, right? Because it just needs to kill something, so it can be on. You don't have to set up the file chains as
1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4. It can be 1 or 2, 3 or 4, 5 or 6.
Yeah, as long as there's just a difference of 2, so it can be all the odds or all the evens.
Or a combination of them.
Odds and
I see
evens.
what
That's a
you're
theme
saying,
there.
like,
But yeah, I mean, Lord Godfrey seems incredibly powerful. The question is just really why they're giving Warlock another good card. I think what they could have done with Lord Godfrey is, or this card maybe not doesn't make sense for Lord Godfrey with that character, but this card could have basically been a demon, and I think that means it wouldn't have seen play in what we currently see as Warlock decks, because of the kind of fact that it clashes with cards like Possessed Lackey and the Weapon. But because
balanced, I think.
yes, exactly. But because Lord Godfrey is not a demon, it fits like 100% perfectly into those decks, which are some of the most powerful decks that are going to exist post rotation from what we can kind of know now, at least. So it seems a bit odd.
Crazy.
Yeah,
I mean, as a 7 drop as well, he kind of fits, I think, into. Because I think Abyssal Enforcer is going out, if I'm correct.
Yeah, but Abyssal Enforcer. So some people compare this to Abyssal Enforcer, like, oh, Abyssal Enforcer wasn't seeing play, it had better stats, and its battlecry wasn't kind of dependent to do more board clear. But Abyssal Enforcer was a demon, and that's why it wasn't seeing play, because it doesn't work with Possessed Lackey, it doesn't work with the Skull of the Minari. So that's the big difference here with Lord Godfrey.
So I think this guy's going to probably see play. Like just off the outset, the effect seems pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, the question, right, is just whether, because I mean, right now the Control Warlock, you have Hellfire, you have Defile. The question is,
and Twisting Nether
and Twisting Nether. Is this Super Defile relevant on turn 7? That's going to be the question. And I mean, I think probably kind of it still is.
Yeah, I think just having extra, more depth, more removals is just going to make you more consistent at hitting your removals and. Give you greater ability to blow around your opponent's board. And the other thing is also it gives your opponent more of a hard time, because now they have to play around. They can't just go like, oh, I have a 1 and a 3. They need to find a 2. Now Lord Godfrey helps.
To play around though. Like literally, like it's like the file you could at least play around by, let's say, keeping, let's say, one health and 3 health. But if I look at this guy, it's almost impossible to. I mean, let's say you have a 1 health guy, or a 1 or 2 health guy. So that's the first trigger. You need to make sure something has 5 or more health.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it dies, and it's like.
Yeah. Otherwise, Lord Godfrey's gonna have to. Or you need to make sure that you don't have that 2, right? The 1 or the 2. Yeah. That's the most important trigger you can kind of cut off, because once it's hitting the 1 or the 2, it's going to be a bit difficult to stop Lord Godfrey from destroying your whole board. So, I mean, it seems like a really powerful card. Let's just hope this means they're going to give us some other powerful legendaries for the other classes to balance things out. But
hopefully Warlock, it doesn't become Warlock Stone.
Yeah, this is definitely something that also suits Control Warlock more than Cube Warlock. Cube Warlock's a little bit tighter in terms of its slots. As to what other cards it would cut. So this could definitely find its way into Cube Warlock as well, but even more powerful than Control Warlock that just wants more and more board clears.
Yeah, so I think that card's going to see quite a lot of play.
Yeah. Okay, next up we have Hunting Mastiff. This is a Hunter Beast, and it's a 2-mana 2/1. It's a common, and it has Echo and Rush. So 2 of the new mechanics on a single card here. 2-mana 2/1. That's obviously pretty understated, but you can play up to 5 of these in a turn late in the game. And I mean the rush part means that they basically operate as like 2-mana 2 damage spells in a way. If you're not buffing them up with something.
Yeah, I mean there's obviously all the beast synergies with like things like Handmaster or Timberwolf.
Or Scavenging Hyena.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what obviously, like, I think the potential combo lies.
And Bestial Wrath. Or Stampede. Those are kind of some of the combos I was looking at, but those 2 are a lot more fringe.
Yeah. But the thing is, it's a case of this 2-mana 2/1 doesn't seem very good, especially it only has Rush. I'm a bit hesitant. I suppose it's a sort of an interesting design, because you obviously can't make it 1 mana, 2 mana. I mean, in terms of, I think the card is balanced.
Yeah.
But now it's just a case of, is it good enough to see play? I mean, obviously spell hunters don't want it, but like, do mid-range hunters or any aggressive hunters want it?
Yeah.
You want to go face usually, right?
Yeah. The big thing to me is that because it has 1 health, it never value trades. And the big thing is that you want to make it so that after you're playing Hunting Mastiff as, let's say, a board clear, you want to still have something left on board. That's the big thing. You want to be either you protecting something you already had on board, so you're kind of snowballing your lead, where Hunting Mastiff is kind of fine, but otherwise you're spending all your mana echoing this, and you're not going to be left with anything behind on board. So, that kind of means that Hunting Mastiff is almost a control hunter card, if we want to go back to that good old meme.
Or if you do trade, most likely you might end up with having 1/1 left over, right?
Yeah.
If you trade your whole board and you have enough mana to play one more, then you're gonna have a 2-mana 2/1, which is not exactly the most fearsome of boards.
No, but I mean, if you did manage to clear your opponent's board at the same time, it's good. But that's assuming they have at maximum 8 health on the board, right?
Yeah, which I mean also.
Yeah. It's not the most imposing card, let's say. I think the biggest impact Hunting Mastiff will have is on the Deathstalker Rexar pool, because now the fact is you're going to have beasts in there that have Echo, and that will have Rush purely from this. So if you combine it with something that is, let's say, a well-statted 3 or less cost beast, you can play 2 of that beast in the same turn.
Oh my, King Nuclear.
Yeah, or like the Amalgam. Let's say that's just a 3-mana 3/4, right? So that means you're able to play 2 5-mana 5/5s with Echo, with Rush, let's say, because you're echoing it to get the second one. But then you miss out on the hero power. So I don't know. I mean, maybe what's the best? With Diamol.
Actually playing it.
It's not irrelevant with Diamol, right? You can get a 3-mana 3/4 with Echo and Rush, so that means you can play 2 of them, or you can play 3 of them in a turn, or you can play 2 of them in hero power. I was trying to think about how you fit in the hero power. So you can also go up to 2-mana beasts where you can then hero power as well. So I think Hunting Mastiff is actually a pretty important card for that Deathstalker Rexar pool, and that's definitely where we're going to see the most impact from it.
Like I was about to say, ironically, I think it's only good because of the fact that it adds to the pool more than actually being a card itself. Like, as a card itself, I mean, I'm just thinking about it. Unleash the Hounds is probably better than, 9 out of 10 times, right?
Yeah. You definitely need to have some other kind of synergy on the board for this already. There's nothing really that passively buffs the health of your minions at the moment, other than something like Stormwind Champion, which is obviously a bit of a meme. Otherwise,
Just to clarify for people, though, any, reductions or buffs that you do magic only affect the first one.
Yes, on that one itself. But I mean, if you have a passive buff on the board, like a Leon,
what I'm saying is for people trying to do silly hand buff shenanigans, unfortunately, it does, if you buff the Mastiff, only the first one you play is buffed, and then the rest will just be 2-mana 2/1s.
Yeah, I mean, that's more of a wild thing, because all the hand buff mechanic stuff is going away with Suits Gadgets and, but, yeah. Okay, so next we have Forest Guide. It has cool art. That's the plus I will say for it. It's a 4-mana 1/6 Druid minion. It's a rare, and it reads, at the end of your turn, both players draw a card. So the one comparison I had given to me is that with Drakari Enchanter, it turns into a Cold Light Oracle every turn for 7 mana. And that's not... No, I'm not playing Forest Guide. Certainly not in that scenario, and
it's kind of like
almost never. Yeah, but it's worse than Jeeves, because at least Jeeves could have almost guaranteed you, let's say, 3 cards the first turn. Forest Guide's probably only going to get you 1 before your opponent kills it, unless it benefits them more, in which case you played a card that benefits them more than you, so that's not very good.
Yeah, that's the main concern, really, is the fact that at the end of turn, both players draw a card. End of your turn means that your opponent then gets to use the extra card first.
Exactly. That's the other big
problem,
thing.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
so Forest Guide is going to be lost in the Witchwood, I think.
Oh my goodness, that was terrible, but okay. You're just rolling with puns.
Yep. And next we have Wanted. This is a rogue spell. It's a 4-mana epic spell. Deal 3 damage to a minion. If that kills it, add a coin to your hand. So, not a kind of combo for the coin. Instead, in this scenario, you just need to kill something with it, right? So, the big question is, when is Wanted going to be good at killing minions to get the coin back? Because if you're not getting the coin back, Wanted is simply not good enough. You'd rather be playing Eviscerate, Backstab, almost any of the other rogue removals. I mean, you'd rather play Assassinate than Wanted if you didn't get a coin, quite frankly. So, I mean, Wanted kind of falls in a very odd space. I think its damage is a little bit too low for its mana cost, and its mana cost is too high for its damage, which I know is exactly the same thing said the other way around. But either way, they could have upped the damage or lowered the mana cost by 1, either way, which I think would have made it pretty decent. I mean, 4 mana, 4 damage is something we've seen a lot. I mean, we're seeing Jade Lightning go away, it's rotating out, but it's kind of been a standard breakpoint before. We're also seeing Shadow Strike rotate out, so Rogue will go back to that break point of 4 damage from cards like Eviscerate. So, I mean, I think a 4 mana Wanted, 4 damage for 4 mana Wanted would have been good, but I don't know. My first thoughts largely with the card were, but what if it was this and what if it was that? And I think that kind of tells you what you need to know about the card, right?
Yeah, I mean, my first thought was, firstly, it's just not Tomb Pillager. Like, Tomb Pillager just feels 10 times more better, right? Like 10 times better, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're getting a 5/4 instead of 3 damage.
Yeah.
And the other thing, then also I was like, wait a moment, Flanking Strike is like this, but Flanking Strike doesn't have to kill the minion, and you get a 3/3.
Yeah.
You it's conditional that you might get a coin.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but I know Rogue can do silly things with coins, but for the most part, a 3/3 is better than a coin a lot of the times.
Yeah, definitely.
So those were my sort of 2 trains of thought, and I was like, okay, this card seems very horrifically bad.
Yeah, I mean, the card definitely needs to be prepped out, right? That's where this card sits. You need to prep it out to get that coin to make Wanted cheap enough, and I think they definitely seemed scared of prep. And making the spell too cheap, but it is at least somewhat interesting design. I must say I like the design, and with rogue cards it's always very difficult to judge, so I'll definitely try Wanted out, but I'm not particularly excited about it. Hopefully there's some other good rogue spells though in the Witchwood.
I'm not convinced by it.
Yeah, because on turn 4 as well, the big thing is you want to play Father Eye Strider in Miracle Rogue, which is where this most well fits, because that's where you want the coins, and yeah, the later you leave Wanted, the more unlikely it is to be able to kill the minion, and you'd probably rather just be sapping or Vile Spining. So,
yeah.
I mean, you pay 1 more mana for Vile Spine, as long as you can find the combo, it kills the minion and gives you a 3/4 on the board. So, Wanted looks wanting in comparison to most of the other rogue removal tools. Next we have Scale Worm. This is a 4 mana 4/4 neutral beast. It's a rare and it reads Battlecry. If you're holding a dragon, gain +1 attack and rush. So if you're holding a dragon, at this point that basically makes this a priest card. The only viable real dragon deck is priest. And I personally don't think we're going to see many dragons in the Witchwood, because dragons in the woods doesn't make sense.
Yeah, flavor-wise doesn't really forward.
Yeah, Blizzard are kind of strict with their flavor in terms of tribes. They said the main reason there's so many beasts in this is because it's the woods, much like Ngoro was a jungle. So I'm not sure we're going to see dragons. Ngoro is a little bit different. You see dragons because there's dinosaurs, and it makes sense there, like Primordial Drake, right? I'm not really sure the Witchwood's going to have any dragons.
Well, on the bright side, we already have one dragon. You have the Amalgam. That's every class, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that is kind of some synergy there.
But once again, the Amalgam is 3 mana. You want to play that on 3, and then Scale Worm isn't activated because it comes after that. So
yeah, it's a weird spot.
Yeah, I mean, I think the one thing Scale Worm does in that it diversifies well with Dustbreaker. So for let's say a Spiteful Priest kind of dragon deck, Scale Worm gives you a different option. It gives you single target removal in a way, 4 mana 5 damage if you have the dragon in your hand.
With a potential to stick around, right?
Yeah, and that's important for Spiteful Priest because it doesn't have spells for removal. And for AoE board, it has Dustbreaker, and in Scale Worm's case, it's more of a single target thing. So I do think Scale Worm could see some play in a deck like that. The 4 slot's a little bit open, although it's a little bit tested by the dragons that Scale Worm wants to thrive off the synergy with. And I definitely
Drake and Dustbreaker.
yeah.
Kind of.
And the problem is we need to find a 5-mana dragon. There needs to be a 5-mana dragon.
We need an operative,
Yeah, but there needs to be a 5-mana dragon to replace Operative, because Bone Drake is the other good dragon to come in to maybe replace Operative in some of these decks, but Bone Drake is 6. Yeah, maybe Scalebane actually could do it.
Scalebane, I don't think saw much play because Operative was just so much better most of the time. I think.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe Scalebane is good enough. But Bone Drake clashes with Spiteful Summoner, so there's a bit of an issue there. But yeah, I think Scale Worm in a very minion heavy deck like that, it could kind of make sense.
Yep.
Yeah. Next we have Vex Crow. This is a 4-mana 3/3 mage beast. It's a common, and it reads, whenever you cast a spell, summon a random 2-cost minion. So whenever you cast a spell, get a chance to roll Doomsayer. Or Millhouse Manastorm.
Well, yeah, exactly. So I mean, okay, obviously a 4-mana 3/3 quite understated. So I mean, the first question, right, is for this to be anywhere near like on par, you need to at least cast a spell, right? Because you need at least a 2-drop to make this semi-playable.
Yeah.
So the question then obviously is, which cheap spells, does this ever actually play in like a sort of a tempo-y deck with arcane missiles? Like,
or
is Freezing Potion still standard?
No, Freezing Potion will be leaving, and so will Cabal Lackey. So you can't like play this, play Vex Crow Lackey Secret, for example, as a way of getting the spell from like cheating out the secret. The only way you can do it is Kieran Tormage, and then that's turn 7, and that's pretty underwhelming.
I mean, you can play this and Mirror Image.
Yeah, and that can kind of protect the Vex Crow.
Yeah, it's interesting because it is potentially a massive value engine, right? Like, the thing is, with the fact that it's not sort of a once-off, the fact that it's repeatable means if this guy does somehow stay alive, you can just churn out Doomsayers for days.
Yeah. Although, the first Doomsayer you churn out, the Vex Crow is going to die. Unless your opponent's quite ahead on board.
Exactly, your opponent's going to kill the Doomsayers each time, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, Vex Crow, I'm a little bit, like, I just can't really see the deck it fits in. It's too low tempo on the turn you play it to really fit a tempo deck. If it does stick on board, then when you're burning face and getting 2-drops, that's amazing. But so other than that, like...
Away, right?
Yeah, but Mediva's less interaction, like, because it's much easier to interact with minions in general than it is to interact with weapons.
But what I'm saying is Medivh's leaving. This is a semi-Mediv effect in a way. It's basically assuming you're always playing 2-drops, right? So I mean, if you play the fact that if you play 1-drops, you get a 2-drop is obviously like sort of better than Mediv in a way, but it's still relatively low.
Yeah, impact. If it was like a random minion of that cost, I mean, then it would be pretty good, right?
Well, then basically it's like Mediv on a stick.
I know. But Mediv on a stick is still more interactable, so...
Would it be good, though?
Would it be better? I mean, it would be better, and even then I don't know if it would be good enough. So
max thing you can play as a 6-drop, right? The same turn 10.
Yeah, so you play like this and Meteor.
And Meteor or Blizzard.
Yeah.
But, we'll see. Not like... It's an interesting effect, it's an interesting design, but I don't know if this will see play, right?
Yeah.
I'm not sold. Obviously, every time you roll Millhouse Manastorm, it will feel quite good, but to make this card work, I think it's going to be a bit too much, I think. I'm a bit nervous about it.
Yeah, I don't think Vex Crow is going to be living up to its Master Mediv in terms of actually seeing any play. And then moving on to our final 2 cards, we have Clockwork Automaton. This is a 5-mana 4/4 neutral mech. It is a common, and it reads double the damage and healing of your hero power. So, I mean, damage and healing for hero power, basically we're looking at Hunter, we're looking at Mage, and we're looking at Priest, right? Those are the only ones that do damage or healing. All the others are like weapons or attack or etc. Armor.
Yeah. It won't double the attack of like druids, for example.
Yeah, it won't. Yeah, and it won't double the armor of warriors, unfortunately.
Oh damn it! I was hoping to
tank up. Tank up and rank up with the Clockwork Automaton.
No, just imagine though, like because with you assuming you played the odd warrior, you would have been able to gain 8 armor.
Yeah.
For 2 mana. It would have been fantastic.
So basically, you're saying this is a healing bot, anti-healing bot then in that scenario, which doesn't exist. But actually, we can kind of compare it to anti-healing bot in Priest. If you upgrade the hero power with Baku, you're playing odd
you
Priest.
Need to spend the 2 mana to do it. Though.
No, I know. So it's not quite the same, but.
I mean.
But it's like it also gives you the choice to heal your minion if you want to.
I mean, like it's.
It is a persistent effect.
It's a persistent
battle
effect,
cry.
but I really don't. These sort of persistent effects generally don't. I don't like. The problem is they work in very niche situations with combos. So like Embrace the Shadows, Orkanai. I mean Orkanai obviously with the Circle of Healing combo, but like some of them sometimes see playing like sort of combos. This I struggle to see. The fact that it costs 5 mana means it's very difficult to make a combo the same turn, and if you relied on a combo piece to survive a turn. Is that really a combo you want to be doing, right? Because that's not very reliable.
Yeah, and I mean, it's obviously easier to play with a 1 mana hero power, but the fact that it's odd means you can't fit it in the, the Gen Grain main even deck, which, is the one that reduces the mana cost of the hero power. So, I mean, it kind of does a lot when combined with upgraded hero powers. I mean, 6 damage on the Hunter hero power, 4 damage on the Mage one. Those are somewhat relevant, but whether you ever really want to overpay for a 4/4, I don't really think Clockwork Automaton is going to see much play outside of sealed formats. I.e. Arena.
I'm not quite sold on it. I'm not sure the impact. I mean, if we look at a card like, the Mage had Fallen Hero.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you look at that was a 2 mana 3/2, so that was not even bad stats, and that saw 0 play.
Yeah, I think only place I could maybe see this is Priest, and even there I don't see.
I mean, because a Hunter, if you want to jam that hero power, you don't want to be playing 5 mana 4/4.
Yeah, 7 mana to deal 6 damage, even if you're in the Baku deck, doesn't really seem good enough. Yeah. And finally, we have another card that does synergize with hero powers. Maybe a little bit more interesting one, though. Blackwall Pixie. This is a 3 mana 3/4 common. And it reads Battle Cry, refresh your hero power. So, what are the hero powers we want to be refreshing?
Whoa. Sort of most of the Death Knights and quests come to mind. So, for example, I would want to refresh, if you're playing Uther Death Knight.
Yep.
Like Exodia Paladin. That's probably a hero power you want to be refreshing. If you're playing Taunt Warrior and you get the Ragnaros hero power, you probably want to be refreshing that.
Yeah.
If you look at relative and Draxus, obviously, but I mean, most of the times you don't normally the only time you want to refresh your hero power is when there's some insane sort of combo or synergy.
Yeah.
Like you don't just fencing ace. So I mean, fencing. Was it what's his name?
Fencing Coach. Fencing Coach, yeah.
Fencing Coach saw no play. I mean, this is not as good as Beardo.
Yeah, there isn't that Uther kind of OTK combo with Blackwall Pixie, besides the fact that Burgly Bully is also going away, so is Auction Master Beardo, so that kind of Exodia Paladin is probably not going to be possible unless we get some other card that can facilitate it. And the other big thing to notice is that most of the hero powers you mentioned, those are upgraded, or those are not your base hero powers, so Blackwall Pixie is not necessarily going to be that great in the Baku deck either, I don't think. I mean, being able to spend 4 mana to do 2 upgraded hero powers is probably not good enough in most decks. The big thing is having to spend 4 mana, and once again, it's an odd cost card, so it doesn't work in the Gen and Grey main decks. And Blackwall Pixie, the one kind of scenario I can come up with for the Uther, the Paladin, is if you play hero power, Blackwall Pixie, hero power, and then play something like Rebuke that we spoke about before to try and protect your minions. But that's certainly not a guaranteed way to actually get the 4 horsemen to bring the apocalypse.
On the bright side, though, it is a 3 mana 3/4, so it's not bad stats. It is possible just playing it where you don't get the value. So I mean that might make it decent enough to actually see play. in these decks, maybe you do want to rag hero power twice. Maybe it is worthwhile creating another horseman the same turn. But like it just requires so much setup, and the turn that you do it in, you have to spend 7 mana, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because basically, in order to make full use of it, you hero powering, you play in this, and you hero powering again.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's 7 mana to develop a 3/4 hero power twice.
Yeah. It doesn't seem good. And I mean, you mentioned. Yeah, so you mentioned Taunt Warrior, and obviously dealing 16 damage in a turn with your Sulphurous hero power is pretty powerful, but do you really want to play a 3-mana 3/4 in that deck when you'd rather just be playing Taunts to get to the hero power faster, right? Yeah, Stoniel Defender, Phantom Militia, there's a lot more Taunts you'd rather play than Blackwall Pixie, so I'm not really sure it even fits that deck. I definitely think there's some interesting space to build with Blackwall Pixie, maybe in the future as well, but overall I don't really see it being particularly great right now, but I at least think it's interesting design.
Right? Unless there's something that reduces hero power costs. Unless there's something to all of a sudden push this into the realm of being like good. So whether it's a case of your your hero power does, I don't know, it becomes free or something.
Yeah, for example, if in Paladin you could make your hero power free, then you could play 2 Blackwall Pixies to win the game, because you'd be able to get the combo. But I don't foresee them printing anything along those lines that allows you to make your hero power free, because they just came off the back of that being really bad in the Razakis Priest.
I think they learned their lesson from Raza.
Yeah. And that one even had the kind of Highlander caveat that you had to fulfill. Maybe they print a Paladin only one, but I don't think so, when they don't generally seem to like those kind of OTK, uninteractive combos.
Yeah, I mean, because that feels really bad, losing to double Blackwall Pixie 4 hero powers, right? I mean,
yeah, it's even easier to achieve than the Ultramaster Beardo thing, assuming you can set up
random
0-mana hero
Happy
power.
Christmas Land synergy in Wild, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is somehow you discover or get hold of Raza, right? And somehow you've played Raza. You could OTK with this.
You played Raza after your Uther and it was active, and you go 5 mana for 2 hero powers and Blackwall Pixie, and then repeat.
Two Blackwall Pixies, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's 5 mana for 2 hero powers and Blackwall Pixie in the world where Raza reduces your hero power to 1.
Yeah.
And then you'd have to do that twice.
You do it again.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's some ridiculous corner case scenario.
That's one Trolldan moment, but that's not a moment that you're going to be seeing almost ever for most players. Especially because not many people play Wild.
It's a bit too fancy for, I think.
Yeah. So, I mean, Blackwall Pixie, not super amazing. And, I mean, that basically takes us back to our first cards. I mean, that's everything we have so far. We'll be back with a lot more of these videos as we get more cards. We're gonna try to keep doing these every day, or at least somewhere close to that as fast as we actually find time. So thanks a lot for watching this episode. Make sure you share it, like the video, and subscribe as well on YouTube. And you can also contact us on social media if you have any questions, or you can comment in the YouTube section, YouTube comments section. You can find Pandemonium at PandemoniaZA on Twitter, and you can find myself at Dib_gaming. Until the next video, cheerio.
Cheers.